Ask yourselves the question, how many influencers on X and YouTube do you see bash talking XRP or saying that it's not a good performing asset? This, ladies and gentlemen, is because they do not know how to dollar cost average into XRP. Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, we're going to give you some fundamental insights as to why the cryptocurrency market and risk assets across the board are bullish, going into some insights within our private CYPRX community, showing you all how over the course of the last year and a half, we have been able to build a six-figure crypto portfolio. The vast majority of individuals have no idea where or how to dollar cost average properly into digital assets, let alone trade digital assets. So hopefully in this video breakdown today, it shows you that here inside the CYPRX private community, we are simply attempting to provide value at an unprecedented level, not only in the crypto space, but also in the Forex community as well. So if you enjoy these video breakdowns, do us a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. So first, we're just going to show you some dollar cost average positions in our personal portfolio that have come into fruition and returned certain percentages. So we're going to start here with our list with AGIX. You can see in our private group chat over to the left-hand side, this is our monthly Discord, which you guys can subscribe to and access by visiting CYPRXtrading.com if you guys want these updated dollar cost average levels that I update every single Sunday evening for the CYPRX community. But if we click back here, and I just love to show you guys proof, I'm not one of those influencers or those individuals online that doesn't back up exactly what it is that I'm showing to you guys. Here you can see the date in our private Discord, roughly going all the way back to February, I believe it is 28th, if I'm not mistaken. You can see here up at the top, the timestamp, February 28th, we said AGIX, dollar cost average levels, anything below 26 cents. 26 cents is this red line here. The green circle is where I put this message out to the CYPRX private community. So if anybody took advantage of these dollar cost average positions underneath of 26 cents, measuring from the low to the high, you're looking at roughly around at current prices, 23% returns. Moving over into the next digital asset, if we scroll right down here, we have ICP on February 3rd. Looking at the dollar cost average levels that we sent, we can see ICP as long as price is below $12.50. I put that information to the private community out on February 3rd, Saturday. So you can see here the green circle is February 3rd, that Saturday. Price dropped down into $11.50, which is below that $12.50 range. I even put that out to you all publicly on the X space that I would be looking to buy from roughly around $11.50. Gave you guys as well a YouTube video update breaking down why I was buying in this specific psychological level, looking at a previous break in structure here in this market structure, a pullback into discounted levels to look for buying opportunities from this previous bullish leg. Price since then has increased over 23%. Moving on to the next digital asset in my personal portfolio is Hbar, which is one of my biggest bags. You can see down here, specifically looking at the same exact date, we had that February 3rd Saturday date where I said anything below 7 cents on Hbar, measuring particularly where we sent that CYPRX private message roughly on February 3rd. From the low to the high, you're looking at about a 25% increase in that dollar cost average position as well. Moving on to the next one, we have Quant. Quant was a beautiful call out. If we scroll right down here, and we look at the date that this was sent, Saturday, February 3rd. Again, I said anything below $100. Look at that accuracy, okay? Quant briefly dipped. If you look at the date, Saturday, February 3rd, the day that I sent that message down at the bottom of the screen, we look shortly after, Sunday, February 4th. Quant briefly dipped below $100 at $99.86. Any dollar cost average positions taken in this area would have resulted in a 12% gain from the recent price increase. So that was also another significant dollar cost average position. Now, Casper was another one. If we go back to Saturday, February 3rd on the dollar cost average update, you can see here, I mentioned anything below 3.5 cents. This is where I sent that message out to the private CYPRX community. They had plenty of time. This red line is 3.5 cents to be buying underneath of these psychological levels. Since then, Casper has increased over 14% given those levels sent out to the private community. So another beautiful dollar cost average position. XDC being our worst performer as of right now. You can see I mentioned on February 3rd, anything below 4.5 cents. As current price action sits below 4.5 cents, I'm still taking dollar cost average positions on XDC. If we can see a further decrease down into 3.5 cents, that would be even more phenomenal. But overall, XDC is our worst performing asset and has not increased above our dollar cost average position of around 4.5 cents. So we are still accumulating XDC. Moving on, we have a couple more to go over. XLM. XLM was another good performer in our portfolio. You can see Saturday, February 3rd, we mentioned anything below 11 cents. Looking at where we sent that message and having some time to accumulate underneath of 11 cents, we have returned over 6% increase on XLM. XRP and Oasis Network is next. So on January 28th, we sent a message to the private CYPRX community looking here on Oasis Network. If you guys aren't too familiar with Rose, that is one of the good performing assets in my personal portfolio. But you can see here, I mentioned on January 28th, that Saturday, that anything below 11 cents was game for my personal portfolio. You can see here, this green circle is where I sent that message. 11 cents is marked by this red line right here. And since then, again, just measuring from the red line, taking any dollar cost positions underneath of 11 cents, you would have seen at least a minimum right now where price is sitting at of about 15% increase. Now we have XRP. So many individuals on the internet space. If you're still here watching this video breakdown, this is me showing you all physical proof of the value that we provide here at CYPRX. Ask yourselves the question, how many influencers on X and YouTube do you see bash talking XRP or saying that it's not a good performing asset? This, ladies and gentlemen, is because they do not know how to dollar cost average into XRP. XRP is one of my best performing assets, and this is why. Because we do not buy the hype, we do not buy at tops. We buy when the price is discounted. So here you can see down at the bottom of my screen, January 28th, roughly around here in this area, we mentioned it to the private CYPRX community. If we jump down to the bottom again, I'd just like to show you guys proof. Sorry, excuse me, this is January 20th. We mentioned to the private CYPRX community anything below 51 cents. So here, scrolling back up to the top, you can see XRP, anything below 51 cents being mentioned. Measuring from around 51 cents, we've seen a 9% increase on our overall XRP portfolio dollar cost average position. So again, just showing you guys proof is in the pudding. If you are not profiting in your long-term portfolio and you're tired of seeing, depreciations in your portfolio, consider joining our monthly community. None of this is financial advice. I give my students and our community updates on my personal dollar cost average positions to show them how I have built a six-figure crypto portfolio before this next crypto bull run. Last but not least, one of the best performing assets in our portfolio and the best call outs that we made here in the private CYPRX community was all the way back on January 20th, which was a Bitcoin dollar cost average call out. You can see here, given the date, Saturday, January 20th, I mentioned to the private CYPRX community that I'd be looking to buy Bitcoin underneath of $40,000. Here you can see this green circle is roughly around the area of January 20th, looking down at the bottom of my charts where I sent that message out. So measuring from roughly around the $40,000 mark where we briefly dipped below that and stayed underneath of that for about a 3-day period, hovering from about Monday till Thursday, breaking above that $40,000 range. Just measuring from roughly around $40,000 to the current high, you're looking at about an overall increase of over 30%. So again, this is just me being transparent with you all, showing that inside the private CYPRX community, we are making these call outs at bottoms of prices, not only on one digital asset, but on multiple assets in our portfolio across the board. Now, this is not my entire portfolio. These are just the assets that I'm currently looking to build more of in my portfolio. So again, just showing you guys transparency. Now, let's take a second and head over to the overall breakdown, going over why digital assets have been bullish over the past 24 hours, what's been going on in the market. Again, trying and attempting to keep you all in the loop. We've been telling you all to be paying attention to dollar strength or weakness. Here you can see a fundamental piece going on to talk about how Bitcoin rose 1.5% on Thursday. I find it interesting how here in the CYPRX private community, we're calling out 30% increase moves on Bitcoin. Again, showing you guys that information from back on January 20th, where we said anything below $40,000 is fair game buys on Bitcoin. And since then, we've seen a significant increase of over 30%. But as two of the world's largest economies said that they slipped into a recession at the end of last year, Ether, also the second largest cryptocurrency by market value, added similar amount gains. Impressive inflows into spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, i.e. ETFs, are persuaded analysis to anticipate a bull cycle in the next 1 to 2 years. In my personal opinion, we are already in the midst of one, and that started last year. Cryptocurrencies tend to remain resilient even as global economies struggle. The UK's Office for National Statistics said gross domestic product, i.e. GDP, shrank to 0.3% in the last 3 months of 2023. Japan also lost its spot as the world's third largest economy to Germany after the nation unexpectedly slipped into a recession. So we're seeing recessionary scares across the board, which prompts investors to seek alternative investments outside of those domestic currencies for capital appreciation, given the narrative that recessions usually tend to weigh on the overall strength of said domestic currency. So, moving on to the next fundamental piece that we saw from today, we saw the DXY weakness. The dollar index dropped below 104.4 on Thursday as investors analyzed economic data in the Federal Reserve's monetary policy outlook. Retail sales in the U.S. fell larger than anticipated, 0.8% in January. And on Tuesday, the Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee said on a Wednesday interview that the central bank should be wary of waiting too long before cutting interest rates. This narrative right here, this quote or this comment from the central bank speaker feeds into the rate cut narrative, which prompts greed in the stocks and cryptocurrency markets, i.e. risk assets. We know that when we enter into a lower interest rate environment or operating in a low interest rate environment, that tends to benefit riskier assets. I've covered that in previous video breakdowns. So comments like this drive greed to the cryptocurrency and stock markets, which are riskier assets. Last but not least, we have this fundamental piece where it goes on to read that the S&P 500 and the Dow gained on Thursday as investors cheered a higher than expected fall in retail sales data and looked ahead for clues on when the U.S. Federal Reserve delivered its first interest rate cut this year. So again, feeding that narrative that the Federal Reserve is going to eventually cut interest rates, investors are attempting to get ahead of the curve, getting ahead of the market greed, and attempting to buy early before this happens. Most likely scenarios when they actually cut rates, the market's going to drop. Commerce Department report showed U.S. retail sales dropped 0.8%. We covered that in the previous article. Bets for an at least 25 basis point interest rate cut in May edged up to 40.6%, while odds for June stands at 82% according to the CME Group Fed Watch tool. After several months of strong retail sales figures, January results were well below expectations, and investors were expecting modest growth in core retail sales, but instead saw a month-over-month decline. So that is all feeding into the rate cut narrative, which tends to drive stocks and cryptocurrency market greed. So just giving you guys an overview as to why the market has been bullish. Remember that the vast majority of these digital assets right now are not being utilized for their underlying utility. We're not in some utility bull market cycle, nothing like that. We're still in a speculative cycle where the vast majority of digital asset movement is still based around the macro environment. That means interest rates, central bank speakers, central bank sentiment, economic data. Okay. So this is why we stress on our platforms that you all should be paying attention to this. We attempt to give you guys updates on the X space. We've been consistently giving you guys updates on interest rates, rate cuts, and the strength of the dollar, letting you guys know in previous video breakdowns that if we see dollar weakness, we will most likely continue to see the cryptocurrency market momentum strive. So many blessings to you guys. If you guys enjoyed this market update and this insight into our private CYPRX community, do us a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. If you all are interested in our private CYPRX community and you want to join it, you guys can visit CYPRXtrading.com, visiting the two options that we have to enroll in our private community. If you have any questions of myself and you want to schedule a Zoom call, maybe potentially seeing some of the back end of CYPRX, seeing the course material, or seeing inside the private Discord before you join, feel free to reach out. Our email is in the description down below, customer support at CYPRXtrading.com. Shoot us an email. Let's schedule a Zoom call. I'd love to talk. As always, many blessings, be cognizant, be aware out there, and be safe. I'll see you guys in the next video breakdown.